I'm really glad you came back this week. You were probably with us last week with our interview with Nate Larkin, and we're talking about some of the things from his book, Samson and the Pirate Monks, from Samson Society, working with men and to an extent with women as well, helping bring counsel, clarity, vision, hope for the future. Last week we talked a lot about some of the problems of why we get involved in these addictions, these struggles, this sin nature. We're going to turn the table a little bit and talk about some of the recovery processes. How do we get out of this? What is the first step in somebody who's saying, I'm addicted, whether sexual sin or some other form? What's the first step somebody usually comes to start the process of getting healing and hope and health?
Yeah. Now, there are some guys, I was never one of them, who spontaneously reach a point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? Yeah, right. And they're just going to get help.
So, I know where you're headed here, I think. But let me stop you there for just a second, because you're saying you're not one of them. Were you never sick and tired of being sick and tired?
I was sick and tired, but not sick and tired enough.
Okay, yeah.
To take the leap and go for help and tell somebody everything.
Okay, gotcha. Right? But others get to that point on their own.
There's some people who do.
Okay.
Not that many. Most of us, it takes divine intervention. It takes a catastrophe of some kind. It takes, it's sometimes said that we don't change until it becomes less painful to change than to stay the way we are, right? Yeah. And so it takes some pain, right? And then the first step is getting honest. And we're not going to get honest until until either we don't have the option of being dishonest. We've been found out.
Yeah.
Or until we find a place where it's safe enough to be honest, to start to say the truth, right?
Yeah.
And I have found in Samson, really, that's the great gift of Samson. You get into the first meeting, and guys, it's hard to tell the whole truth right away. It's scary because some of us have gone pretty deep in this behavior. But first of all, when we hear other guys tell their stories, and they can do it without shame and without condemnation, without self-hatred, because they've encountered the love of God and they're encountering healing and they've got some hope. And they can admit to doing some of the darker things that we've done. Now it becomes safe for us to say, yeah, me too. I've gone there. Yeah. And to kind of, but I don't think recovery really starts until we start to get honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody that's listening to us right now that has that inner struggle, they're going like, okay, I'm almost sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
I'm almost at the end of my rope.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting then they go find somebody safe to talk to?
Yeah.
A group, and they can come right to you guys, right? At Samson Society, you guys have online groups and stuff. So if if they don't feel like their church is a safe place,
right,
they can come and contact you guys, right? And that would be a starting place. I like it's interesting what you're saying too. They sort of start off telling a story a little slowly, like I look at pornography once every 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And then next week it's like this is a daily. But all right. So after that, so they start this process. They're kind of starting to open up to a few people that they trust.
Yeah.
For some people, that doesn't. I mean, I think I remember my first early days of sort of confessing this.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, everybody tells me that's the secret. That's the secret sauce that sets you free. And I did that.
That's
and
the
I was
start.
Like,
no,
wait a minute, that didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then I got frustrated because it's like, okay, well, now I'm exposed.
Right.
And not any better.
Right. Yeah.
So I was more frustrated.
Yeah.
Although it did feel good in a sense, like, okay, I said something to somebody and they didn't, call me a reprobate.
Yeah.
And so that was good. But from moving into the healing process, what do you do?
So what we tend to think is that we think that the behavior is the problem. My desire when I've walked into my first meeting was I wanted to become the person I had always pretended to be. Okay?
Yeah.
I came because I wanted to become a better Pharisee.
Wow.
The Pharisees were really focused on outward behavior. And they were very well-behaved people who thought that they were morally superior as a result. And, and Jesus called them out and said, you're whitewashed sepulchres. Yeah, but you guys are, even though they were blameless in their outward behavior, right?
Yeah, right.
So confessing my behavior, first of all, is a good first step. But if I think that is the solution and that stopping that behavior is going to fix me and going to set me right with God and things, I'm crazy because I'm far sicker than that. My sin runs really deep. So I have found a behavior that effectively medicates the pain that's caused by my deeper problems, right?
Yeah.
But where confession really needs to go, well, in a couple directions. First of all, there is certainly wounding in the background that needs to be faced and healed. So there is healing that's involved. So there is that, and then there is also confession of my own sin because I am a participant in this thing. And so with the help of other people, clear-eyed people who are on the same path, traveling in the same direction, participants in the same kind of sins and character defects, right? And have some experience in spotting them. I need to take a look at my pride, for example. One of my first sponsors pointed out to me that here I was all focused on my sexual behavior. My bigger problem was pride.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And you agreed with that when you heard that, or?
Well, no, because I was very good at false modesty, which I thought was humility.
Yeah.
There is a ton of difference between false modesty. I was a very modest person, but arrogant in the extreme.
Wow.
And I wouldn't say that I have mastered humility, but I'm far more humble now.
Yeah.
Which is one of the great benefits of recovery, right?
Yeah.
And because I have, God has this great wrecking bar in his hands that I gave him, which is my sex addiction, right? It's a tool that he uses to, to dig deep for the stuff that's really problematic.
Yeah. You seem to have that backwards. It seems like the pride is sort of the exterior shell, but the real core problem I have is my sexual sin.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Sure, exactly.
And so that changes the whole philosophy or the whole methodology of getting healed or what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
That seems like it would change radically then because you're not just looking at, okay, here's my behavior, but you're looking at some of the issues of the heart.
Right, exactly.
And that's so you're going deeper. And that's what Jesus talked about, kind of clean the inside of the cup rather than the outside only.
Yeah, there is so much. So it's amazing. Like in Samson, we always have a sharing time in the meeting, right? We rarely talk about sex. We talk an awful lot about, anger and arrogance and entitlement and fear and sadness and loneliness and those deeper issues, right? Yeah. And if recovery becomes a doorway into that kind of an examined life, where now I'm willing to kind of open up the door and look at it myself, I'll put myself under God's gaze, open myself up not just to Christ, but to the body of Christ.
Yeah.
Right? Now, real spiritual transformation rather than behavior modification. Real character change becomes possible. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. To me, I tell guys who are just distraught because D-Day has happened. They've been hit by the bus. The world's come apart. They don't know how they're going to survive. And I tell them, you just pulled the golden ticket. Because you now have an opportunity for this spiritual adventure, this life change. Everything's on the table. And you have the opportunity to grow like you've never grown in your life. and to trust God like you've never trusted him, because he's going to get real fast, right? And you're going to get down to the brass tacks. The niceties are gone at home. We're not polite anymore. Everything's out. We're saying it. You're on the launching pad, and my experience is, I'm grateful to be an addict because that got me into recovery, and now I was able to do the spiritual work that I was unwilling to do when I was just performing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. When you said my first question about really facing the need for recovery, you said you were trying to be a better Pharisee.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that.
I just wanted to behave better.
I mean, you weren't thinking that's looking back now. You said that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
You weren't actually thinking that's like, man, I really hope I can be a good Pharisee.
No. But I think I had a Pharisee's outlook because I really thought the porn was the problem. That's
the Pharisee's outlook.
Yeah.
That's what you mean. So, and you wanted to be better at that, better at not doing.
If I had just somehow been successful in shutting down the porn, never seeing another prostitute, and nothing else had changed, and I was still the same arrogant, self-sufficient, careful, hidden, superior guy that I had been, covered up with a nice veneer of false modesty. I was not an easy person to live with. The great thing about recovery, it forced me to join the human race.
Yeah.
Right?
Become alive and a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I almost heard your wife say amen from Nashville just to say. You said that we're in Colorado Springs here.
Yeah.
But so it's a sanctification process then, really.
Yes, it is.
The biblical terminology around
it's
that.
Sanctification on steroids.
Yeah. In that process, this is a dangerous question. So even if you don't want to answer it, if it's too theological, don't worry about it. We'll go on to something else. But I've always been curious, does God allow us or put us in a place where we are more susceptible to sin in order to work something deeper in us?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder the same thing. Yeah.
I know God's not the, I don't think we'd ever.
He's not the author
of sin, but
right.
But he seems to allow us to maybe I wouldn't call it rope to hang yourself.
Yeah.
But rope to go out there. The prodigal son, maybe in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe God allowing that. He could, God in His sovereignty could stop that. Say, son, just stay home.
Yes.
Here's a Saul Paul conversion for you, even before you leave.
Yeah.
But He doesn't. He lets him go out there in that, and I think.
And gives him the money to go.
Yeah, and so therefore, he is a better. He's more faithful to his father, more loving to his father, He's a more transformed person because of his experience in the pig pen.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, I don't really have a whole lot of theological data for that or biblical basis of scripture. Yeah. I've just always been aware of that it seems like, at least God brings something good out of it. If not even He's allowing and designing certain things to get us to where He wants to, if His ultimate goal is after, our sanctification and our likeness to Him.
Yeah.
It seems like He would put everything on the table to make that thing happen. And so in a sense, you could say, not glad I was in sin, but sin certainly drove me towards finding a deeper healing than I was the superficial things that you're talking about. So I'm glad that you're mentioning that God is after something deeper.
And I don't think he's panicked by our sin. And I do think His grace is prevenient. I think it comes even before we have sin. I think it's come by. Yeah, I have a deep belief and a growing faith in the grace of God, right? Even during those darkest times when I, hated myself, tried to hate my sin. I thought if I could hate my sin or hate myself enough, I could stop and could never hit bottom. I think God's affection for me never wavered for a minute.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Switching gears just a little bit here, because I think there's a lot of people our age that are listening to this. Yeah. We have some younger audience as well, but so let's speak to the ones that are a little bit older now and they have their parents, maybe even grandparents. They're concerned about the tidal wave of permissiveness, sexual pervasiveness. How it's just like poor kids. They just they have it on their phone. Like we didn't have that. You had to go drive somewhere to get something.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for parents of helping? Number one, guard their children from engaging in this kind of life that could be destructive. Number two, if they see them slipping into it, what kind of actions can they be? Do they get all of it alarmed and put disciplines in place, or is it more kind? So first, start with the guarding our children, grandchildren from pornography. And even from the deeper issues, guarding them from pride, guarding them from anger.
I think that the destructive potential of pornography is so great, and children especially are so vulnerable that we really need to go overboard on protecting them. So I'm for not giving the kids unfiltered internet access. I don't think my grandkids don't wander around with screens. And fortunately, with Covenant Eyes and some other programs, there are ways that you can help protect and be notified when they start to cross the line, when their curiosity gets the best of them, right? Which is inevitable. Okay. I think the other important thing to do is to make porn and sexuality and a topic of conversation that isn't surrounded by all kind that it isn't just couched in punitive language. It isn't made a fearful thing. I so wish that my parents had told me a little bit about sex. I wish I had been warned that porn existed, that I would see it, that I would like it. That didn't make me a bad person. It made me a male human, right? Right. But that I would probably need help to resist it. But that resisting it would be absolutely essential to my long-term happiness and a failure. I would be putting a lot of things at risk if I went down that road, even if all my friends were going down that road. Those are the kind of conversations that we need to have. It's
good. It's healthy. So at what age will you start?
Well, average age of first exposure to porn these days is 8.
8. Wow.
So 8. You're starting. So you can do it in age-appropriate ways. Unfortunately, there are some materials. Covenant Eyes has some stuff that's available now. Pure Hope has some stuff that's available now. Good. But, we want to maintain the fiction that our sweet children, grandchildren are, completely naive and innocent about sexual things. But in this culture, that's not the case. We just had our grandkids over for the weekend, a couple overnights this last weekend. They're 11. And I am astonished. First of all, by how much they don't know, and secondly, by how much they do know already.
What do you mean by that? Like, they know things you didn't think they would know?
They're speculating about, which classmates are gay and which aren't.
Okay,
Right?
Right, yeah.
That I'm not sure that they understand all the mechanics. Their mother has talked with them about, in age-appropriate ways about sex, but at least... they were not shy about talking about it with their grandmother and me.
Good.
Which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's probably pretty rare too, I would imagine.
And a little uncomfortable. It was.
Yeah. Talk to your grandma. She's good at answering those questions.
But if we're not talking to them about it, the culture will. And if we don't talk to them about it, we are sending a very clear message.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Then when you discover they are looking, or maybe even starting the process of constant prevailing use in their life, do you go hard and heavy on them?
I'm here
discipline?
to help.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it can be discipline doesn't have to be punitive.
Okay.
Right?
What would that look like?
So this is bad behavior.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This is harmful behavior that we can't take lightly.
Okay.
And I love you, and I want the best for you, and I respect you, and I don't trust you any more than I trust myself. If there's one thing I know as an adult, I need help dealing with this high octane stuff. Yeah. You need help too. Yeah. I'm here to help. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would go with, okay, you're actually looking for something good.
Yeah.
Maybe the wrong direction, but you're really after something good. You're after, connection.
Yeah.
You're after intimacy. You're after community.
Right.
You're after being loved and loving others. So good for you. Let's just avoid the things that maybe won't get you there. You're not going to actually get what you need.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you'll
lose
what you really need because you're getting, like, you really need vegetables, but you're getting all soda.
Yeah.
And maybe that could help our kids, grandkids as well too. And I certainly think, as a grandparent, I certainly can help my kids by being a little bit more available, a bit of an additional resource.
Yes.
Of helping them talk about issues openly and stuff. Because sometimes I think I would have rather talked to my grandfather than even my father, because I think just the old guy who had just probably been through it all. And my grandfather was kind of a rugged guy, an Italian guy that came over from America, from Italy, got on a boat on his own when he was like 16 years old. So
wow.
A real kind of a man's man. So not that my father wasn't, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
And so I think we as grandparents can play a good role in this.
Absolutely, yeah.
And because I think our kids are, my father's last sermon was on the dangers of easy access, the telephone, the internet, the computer and stuff like that, which is strange. I remember he was sitting down in a chair up on the stage because he was having a hard time standing. He was not feeling well.
Wow.
And it shocked me. I thought, I thought it'd be the last thing he would talk about is, you're using your phone for, and not only for, pornography, but just the waste of time and the games and things like that. And you lose the pursuit of God.
I will tell you this, a big addiction that is really causing a ton of damage relationally, culturally, is video game addiction. Okay. So guys they're not marrying, or they're not participating in a marriage and losing a spouse. Yeah. They're and I frankly didn't really get it. It's a process addiction, like porn is, or like gambling is. I sort of got it, but didn't, and kind of looked down my nose at the young men who couldn't break away from, whatever it is they're playing, Mortal Kombat or whatever.
Right.
And then just a few weeks ago, Allie showed me this little game she was playing on her phone. I'd never put a game on my phone, right? And it's a kind of a simple game, and it's some translucent tubes and balls of different colors, and you bounce the balls from one tube to another until you get all one color in the tube, and then you get a little celebration. There's a fireworks display.
A little shot of endorphin or something.
Yeah. Well, I downloaded the game, and then I found I started playing it with increasing frequency. And so I actually played that game more than 1,000 times, right? And got to the point where I kind of mastered the game. Well, then I only play the free version of the game. The price is I got to sit through ads between rounds, mostly ads for other games. So just 2 weeks ago, there's one of these ads dares me to prove my intelligence by downloading this game where I'm sliding tiles around a checkerboard, and so I took the dare. And but this game, you never got the celebration. you played until you couldn't place any more tiles, and then it was over. And you got a point for every tile you placed. Well, the first time I played the game, I got 400 and some points. I thought, that's pretty good. And then it showed me my ranking. And there were 20,000 people in the state of Tennessee who had a higher score than me.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Well, so I got some shame. I got some competition. It's a very unpredictable game. You don't get you get these different clusters of tiles and random sequences, right? So, but apparently other people have figured it out. So I immediately, go for round 2.
Right.
I start to play this game compulsively.
Wow.
I mean, compulsively. So I'm playing it while I'm walking the dog. I'm playing it while I'm sitting in the kitchen waiting for the tea kettle to boil. I start playing it rather than working. I'm working. I hit a tough spot. It's a little frustrating. I pick up the game.
Yeah.
And then at bedtime, I tell myself I'll just play a couple times, and I play into the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
Hooked hard.
Wow.
I had that game on my phone for 3 days. And by the third day, I realized this is the same thing as porn.
That's intense.
For me.
Wow.
Same thing as porn. So it's random. It's unpredictable. It produces shame because I can never really beat the game, right?
Yeah.
And that was enough of a cocktail. But whenever from time to time, I would make a good move, right? And then it would compliment me. It would go, you're clever, it would say on the screen, right? Wow. Clever move. So it would entice me with a little bit of encouragement, but then it would end in shame. I wiped that phone from there it was.
So just the intensity of that, and it's enough to make you angry in a sense. There's this book called The 10-Day Detox.
Yeah.
And Dr. Mark Harmon says the food industry, you almost can't, break free from sugar, and so it could be, so you don't have a candy bar, but then you have a bowl of cereal, and you don't know it's like 2 cups of sugar in it.
Right.
There's like a diabolical scheme going on.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, we don't even know, to introduce us to things and to keep us hooked in things.
Yeah.
And so, the food industry is doing that. Obviously, we know the porn industry is doing that.
Yep.
This book, Detox, talks about, they pay millions of dollars to scientists to discover ways to get you hooked.
Yes.
And I don't know about the pornography industry. I'm sure it's the same.
Yep.
But now even in games, these guys are skilled at giving you that little, you're clever. It's like, you're now in the top 10 percentile of play for 2 more hours and you'll be, and that. Yeah. And so so we're, with I'm reading a book now that talks about being a dissident. Christians now are no longer the moral majority. Right. We are a minority and we're dissidents, and we have to start living like dissidents, which means we fight against culture. We just don't do things.
Which doesn't mean we fight against our neighbors. We still love our neighbors.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's more a fight in ourselves, not against ourselves, but in ourselves. We're going to fight the good fight of faith. Like, okay, I'm going to resist when it's hard to resist porn. I'm going to resist again. And the resistance is not bootstrapping it and saying but it is, I think for me, it has to be, what better am I after here? There's something better I'm after here. Yeah. Okay, this game makes me feel like competitively I'm on the top. Maybe there's a better way of.
I climbed in the rankings to number 600. Right? Yeah.
And what are we after there? What are we looking? If you look at it from the negative side, you're saying, okay, well, that my sin nature, that's my ego and my pride. You were talking about pride earlier. But on the good side, it's like you were built to be competitive. And so maybe there's a better way of being competitive that actually gets you to move a little bit rather than sitting in your chair.
Maybe there's a better race to run. Do you think?
There you go. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, it really is, and it actually could be a race. Maybe maybe you start learning to run, or And I do some workout that to me that's. I wish it was as addictive as some of these other things, but working out is good for you. And
And it's key to recovery. When I get guys started on the recovery path, it isn't just about changing the way you think. It's also about changing the way you live. So we talk about we talk about exercise, we talk about diet, we talk about sleep. Yeah.
Gosh, I wish we had time to talk about marijuana. That would be an interesting one as far as the addictive nature of that. But we don't. We're kind of run out of time here today. But next time you come on, I want to pick your brain a little bit on some other addictive type things.
Okay.
Alcohol, without being an alcoholic. What levels start bringing harm, and if you're talking about
I'm thinking a lot about that these days.
If you're talking about cell phone being addictive and harmfully so, what other things in our life that are actually becoming more and more introduced as norms in our culture that maybe should not be norms for us to live a healthy life. So
and can take us away from a life fully lived, right?
Yeah.
Just occupy us with these trivialities.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, Nate, thank you for your time again last week and today.
It was
and
a joy.
Again, I want to
really
recommend your book, Samson and the Pirate Monks, your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Let me say something quickly.
Yes, please.
One of the been some big changes in the Samson Society during the pandemic.
Yeah.
The online meetings have taken off. So there are meetings now, not just in English, but also in French, Spanish, Italian, and Russian.
Yeah. And you're leading all those language meetings?
And one of the neat things is that the wives have gotten together.
Nice.
So there is now the Sarah Society.
Oh, sweet.
With women who, they don't want to go out and tell the world what their husband has done, but they're living with a broken heart. They don't know what to do with the pain of the betrayal trauma. Now, it's not a man-haters society. It's women who love their husbands but are dealing with the pain and want to work toward recovery. So the Sarah Society is now operating. So,
good. Wow. And how would you, if you want to link into a meeting, is there certain times of the day or?
There is. If you want to join an online meeting of the Samson Society, you've got to attend a newcomer meeting, which is essentially a two-way interview. It's your chance to meet us, our chance to meet you. Make sure you're a real person and not a robot or a scammer or
Yeah.
And there is you have to just go to samsonsociety.org, sign up for a newcomer meeting. There's one every day. They're at different times. So find one that fits your calendar.
Yeah.
And then once you've gone through the newcomer meeting where you'll get an orientation for how the society operates and how the meetings run, then you'll be given the keys to get into the virtual community. And there are multiple meetings every day.
Wow.
Our goal is to have at least one meeting every hour of every day. We're a long way from that, but we're making great progress.
And that's we'll put those in our notes, but it's Samson Society. Is that what?
Yeah, samsonsociety.org.
Okay, samsonsociety.org. Well, very good.
Yeah.
And between getting the book would be good, but you don't want to leave them just working out on your own. You want to get them in a group, get them in relationship with other people that can help bring that healing process.
Yeah.
Well, Nate, thank you again for your time, man. I appreciate that. I want to recommend, if you hadn't heard last week's interview or the one that was probably from a year, maybe 18 months ago, that you did, that you told a little bit more of your story as well. Put all these together, and that I think that'll really motivate you to get on the Samson Society group if you've not been on already. Yeah. All right, buddy. God bless, man.
Thanks, man.
The Gary Wilkerson Podcast is brought to you by World Challenge, transforming lives through the message and mission of Jesus Christ. Each week, this podcast reaches thousands of listeners. This critical work is made possible by the generous contributions of individuals like you who believe in World Challenge's mission. Thank you for listening and supporting